What's up, everybody? It's the Best Bot Kids Move back with a quick video, and today I want to talk about Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Xbox Game Pass and this. I don't know if it's a gift or a curse. The one Call of Duty pretty much for Xbox has to do two things, right? Call of Duty, this is going to be the first, obviously, major release to launch, day and date from Game Pass since the Activision deal. There was an article I've written. I didn't write it, but it was on GameIndustry.biz. Read it, thought it was a good read, brought up some valid points. These valid points I also brought up on like an episode of Planet Xbox podcast with Gaming Addict, which you can find on Weapon Wheel Patreon or BG's channel if you're not subscribed to the Patreon. But the thing is, and the question I continue to ask is like, I don't know what the goal is, what precedent that they set for this game, because it has to do two things. You buy this game, you buy the Activision Blizzard, obviously to drive Game Pass, to drive your subscription base. But Call of Duty is such a mega hit, such a revenue generator. It has to also maintain that. Hence why this game is not exclusive. It actually needs to be everywhere to continue to do that. So essentially Call of Duty has to continue to do that, but it also has to be the biggest boost, for Xbox Game Pass. It essentially has to show, it has to do something other games have failed to do, right? Halo Infinite didn't significantly grow Xbox Game Pass. Starfield didn't significantly grow Xbox Game Pass. Now Game Pass obviously had its growth, and it was essentially hitting like this thing where it was hitting like maybe 5 million each year added to their subscription. The last official number of subscribers, I think, was around like maybe 35 million. I think I don't know what the subscriber count is because they stopped announcing it. So Call of Duty essentially has to be the monumental moment. And I think the only real way to do that, right, for Call of Duty to do that, because you got to consider everyone at this point who has an Xbox that is playing online, right, that's playing Xbox Live, or whatever, is subscribed to a Game Pass. So essentially at this point today, every Xbox owner is a Game Pass subscriber, unless they're playing offline, which doesn't really make sense in these days. So, and we know there's not many Xboxes out there. So the thing is that the effect it has to do is Call of Duty has to upgrade the people that are subscribed to the basic or standard tier of Game Pass, which Call of Duty will not launch in. It has to upgrade everyone pretty much from that to Ultimate, so they can all have the access to the game. It also essentially, because I don't think Microsoft figured this out, it also has to sell consoles, right? You have to sell Xbox Series S's and Xbox Series X's so that new subscribers can come in through the console way. It also has to pull PC players, right, who typically play on Steam, on that whatever launcher, and essentially bring them into PC Game Pass so they can play there. They have to take some customers from Steam, or people would just buy the game on Steam. I believe this is launching day and date on Steam, so they have to do that. The PlayStation effect, right? All right, Black Ops 6 isn't coming to Nintendo just yet, but we know Call of Duty is supposed to be going to Nintendo based. That was like one of Microsoft big agreements when they were trying to get this deal pushed through, this 10-year deal with Nintendo. So it has to, and it pretty much, Xbox is almost relying on PlayStation gamers to have this game be to maintain the status quo as the best selling game. So the game have to sell the best on PlayStation, which it probably will. And it also has to sell well on PC, but it also has to, in this pool of players, the crazy thing that Xbox is asking Call of Duty to do, right? Because at the end of the day, they're going to look at the numbers and see how big of an impact this new Call of Duty game has had on Xbox Game Pass, how the effect it has had on Xbox sales or whatever, right? but the pool, the user base, right, of Call of Duty is actually not changing. Everybody prior to the Activision Blizzard deal, everybody who has had access to Call of Duty still has access to Call of Duty. So nothing's changed. There's no shift, right? Obviously, there's streaming options that's now available, but there's not like a new platform or this new medium to consume Call of Duty. So it's pretty much last year's Call of Duty's customers somehow has to change. So it's just it's like there's this pie, right? The pie graph Call of Duty of all the users where all the users at. Call of Duty essentially has to take from essentially what Call of Duty has to do is like, okay, it was like, okay, what we used to sell, pretty much the people that used to buy, Call of Duty a la carte, we need a great portion or almost all of them to subscribe to Game Pass, which at this point, they probably are at this point. We need PlayStation, people that play the game on PlayStation, buy it on PlayStation, we need them to buy it, but we also need a portion of them to buy an Xbox to consume it through Game Pass because you need new subscribers. You actually need new subscribers here. And then we need the PC gamers to buy the game. They need the PC gamers to buy the game, but we also need a portion of them to not abandon Steam, but to not buy it on Steam, but to subscribe to PC Game Pass. I don't see how I don't understand a strategy where it's actually a win for Xbox. Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, whether it's a subscription, whether it's a purchase, they get the money. They get the money. They'll have the money, right? But the growth that they're seeing, because the thing is, in order for it to work, stuff has to decline, and it has to decline somewhere, but it also has to grow somewhere else. So I'm just curious. I wish I was in a room I wonder how they allocated the budget for Call of Duty of the projections. What is expected to do? Because you have to, if you're pushing Game Pass, you have to say, hey, we expect, a 40% sales decline on Xbox, but in turn, we expect a freaking 30-40%, a subscription increase on Game Pass from those people. You have to pretty much anticipate a decrease in Steam sales in order to get an increase in PC Game Pass users. And then essentially hoping, obviously PlayStation is going to sell, but you have to also anticipate a decrease of this game selling on PlayStation in order that has to translate to new Xbox console sales. I don't know how it works, and I wonder the thing is that regardless of what happens, Microsoft, Xbox, there should not be a negative outcome because they put all their eggs in this Call of Duty basket, and they're pretty much essentially are trying to find growth in a pool of players that didn't change. You know what I mean? It's like again, last year's Call of Duty, 2 years Call of Duty, there's no change. Everybody who had access to those games have access today. It's just pretty much how you're splitting the pie now. How do you want these people to consume the game? And this is it's a weird situation. But I will say I do appreciate Call of Duty's advertising. Their advertising's been on point, and I do also appreciate Xbox's advertisement of Call of Duty. It looks like they have two budgets. Call of Duty is on its own marketing schedule with Call of Duty. Advertising it as a game is not really prioritizing any specific platform. It's just Call of Duty, right? Xbox, on the other hand, is advertising Game Pass, and they're using this Call of Duty, game to advertise. This is its Game Pass marketing budget. This is the most Game Pass advertisement I've seen, and it's more so centered around Call of Duty. So you are getting like a double dose of marketing regarding Call of Duty. One is Xbox and Game Pass related, and the other is just Call of Duty. So you got the Call of Duty people that aren't in the Xbox circle, but they know the game is coming. They're going to be consuming the game. So they're doing a good job of trying to capture an audience. I don't know if it's going to be a growth thing, because I feel like overall, I feel like the game sales will remain. It's probably still end up being the best selling game of the year, but it's going to be lower than. It's going to be higher than obviously Modern Warfare 3, whatever what they try to do, but it will be lower than probably their biggest in the last like 5 years. I do anticipate that, but the thing is, the one thing to watch is like what happens to Game Pass, right? What happens to Game Pass, because they have to offset this thing. Game Pass isn't as cheap as it used to be. You know what I mean? There's now tiers, and there's now a premium to it, and not everybody on Game Pass has access to it, so it's almost asking everyone to subscribe to the most expensive tier, therefore taking a price increase. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I am actually looking forward to Call of Duty. I enjoyed Black Ops 6 beta thoroughly. I've had fun with it. I'm looking forward to it. The campaign, Call of Duty's campaigns has always been pretty dope. So I'm looking forward to the campaign, and I'm looking forward to really playing a lot of that multiplayer, because I had a good time with the last couple betas that they have for the game. So, but we got just under a week, man. We're gonna see what's gonna happen, man. When with those numbers, it's a big time for Xbox. I do want to say I wish Xbox took advantage of this Activision thing a lot better. In terms of, they had a whole entire year. And again, I appreciate the Bethesdas and the other acquisitions better, because I feel like they came with a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation. Activision came with a lot of, you know, Excel spreadsheets, this, that, and third. It didn't benefit the Xbox gamer yet, and I felt like they could have done their job. It's pretty much drip feeding throughout the entire year. They could have been like, hey, we're gonna throw in the Xbox 360 Call of Duty into Game Pass, like a retro, or we're gonna celebrate Black Ops 1 or Black Ops. It doesn't hurt, because I don't think there's a single offline dead Call of Duty game. And I feel like they could have done this. All they did was put the wackest Call of Duty into Game Pass, which was Modern Warfare 3, sometime in the summer. And that game was already like, you know what I mean? It didn't do anything special. I think they finally put like Crash in Game Pass, and then Diablo or whatever. But they could have done more before, because remember, there was a while we didn't think there was a Call of Duty coming in this year in the Game Pass. I feel like prior to that, us getting a confirmation, they should have done more with the back catalog of Call of Duty. I think that was a missed opportunity, because instead of waiting till the end of the year to have your biggest growth spurt, to have your biggest reactions, you could have had a steady growth with shock value, with nostalgia moments. And Xbox, again, I think they failed to capitalize the zeitgeist. They failed to capitalize on nostalgia. They failed to capitalize on cheap sales, just cheap things that gets gamers excited, that get people excited to buy your product, to buy into your product, to subscribe to your service. Because this has been overall a low year for Game Pass in terms of like the quality of games. Honestly, I found quite a few gems that I enjoyed, but I feel like they could have easily masked that with their own property, with the previous Call of Duty games, with the previous Activision games. They were like the Tony Hawk freaking anniversary done came and went, and there's no Tony Hawk in the Game Pass or anything like that. The Spiral games aren't in Game Pass yet. Like the entire Crash catalog isn't there yet. They have these. They failed to really offset what was essentially a down year for them. Now they're going into a stacked quarter, which we hate when they do that. They push everything to the last 2-3 months of the year, which is kind of stupid. They could have had like a solid spread out. You know what I mean? They could have done some Activision before Hellblade, and then between Hellblade and then this quarter, they could have done some, Call of Duties and stuff, like, leading up to the beta. I don't know if the AI is telling them like, hey, if you do this, you're gonna lose players on Black. You're not gonna lose Black Ops 6 players on Black Ops 6 for old games. People are just gonna play those old games. They're gonna dip in, dip out, and then when a new thing come out, they're gonna dive in. But that's my thoughts on it, man. I hope it's successful. Again, the numbers is going to look funky. Be prepared, because some numbers are going to be down. That's what has to happen. Some numbers have to fall in order for something else to grow with this model, because people don't understand is that they're literally reprioritizing the same pool. It's the same pool as last year and the year before that. So something has to decline. It is a big deal if you're, a Game Pass subscriber, you subscribe to Ultimate, and this is the first time, hey, we're about to dive into a Call of Duty game for less than $100. But man, I'm looking forward to it, man. Black Ops 6 coming coming the 25th, and we'll see how it do. The month of October, November, and even December is going to be very, very interesting in terms to numbers. People are going to be watching Circana, I forgot, the MPD, and the UK charts very, very closely to see what happens. People are going to want to know the splits, the PlayStation split versus the Xbox split and stuff like that. And then you got people also taking it personally, like some of these content creators. I'm not playing Call of Duty on Game Pass. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it on PlayStation. Like that's what I'm hearing now. But it is what it is, man. As always, Xbox is the best box. I am the best bot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. I'm out of here. Peace.